Hello everyone and welcome, and in this video we're going to be talking about program counters. Alright, so it may not be quite intuitive as to what the hell is going on right here in this mess of stuff, including the stuff on the ground right there. But if you look here, these lights represent the output. So right now we're at some value. I can clock it, increment. And then if you watch right now, when I clock this and move back, so when I click this, you can still see the top 2 bits. But if you watch what happens, you'll see that all of these will turn off, and that one turns on at the same time. There's no ripple. It's not this one turns off, then this one, then this one. It's not like that. It's synchronous all the way up to that one. And let's do it like so. And the reason it's synchronous is not because I'm just running at high ticks rates, because I'm running at like 1,000 right now, so it's not like that high. But it's because of this carry system. And the way it works is it says, well, let me explain how this whole system works actually. So, we have a D flip-flop in here. This gate right here is a D flip-flop. There's 2 NAND gates right here. And the way they feed into each other are controlled by a data line and a clock line. Okay. So, the data line, the data input comes from the output of the D flip-flop, and it's actually the inverted output of the D flip-flop. So we take the Q, bring it to here, because we can't just bus right to here, it won't let us make that connection. So we bring it to there, and then bring it up here like that, and now we have not Q. And we take not Q, and bus it to this blotter so it can go forward, and not have any of that signal effect backwards. And we also use it to bring and reach to here, so that serves a dual purpose. So now that output is coming back in, and now the data is inverted. So this now becomes a T flip-flop cell, rather than a D flip-flop. Now, there is Q bar here, and Q bar would have reached there, but the delay would have made it so that it started looping, and that's not good. So I decided to do that anyway. Add a an inverter there, and yeah, this cell could be made too wide, which I did some stuff over there, which I'll get around to making a different video on, but so the reason we need these blotters here is it takes the output here, which is inverted, and we can work with this inverted logic to form an AND gate with the clock line, as long as the clock line is also inverted. And then what we do is we then have the output inverted once more, and that's how we get AND. So if you see here, the clock line coming into the D flip-flop has an inverter here. That's that last inverter, because we're inverting the 2 other lines to form AND with it. So the clock line and then the control signals get ANDed into the actual clock line for each one, and depending on the control signals going in, controls how it counts. The other thing is, if we, instead of bringing this here and then bust it out, if this was an XOR gate right here, and we had another input that we could toggle in and invert these outputs, then it could count down. But anyway, so the way this works is the bottom one doesn't go to itself here, but it goes up one here and up to all the other ones. We move up to the second line, and it can't go to itself because then it wouldn't carry. You got to carry upwards. So this has to go up and keep going upwards like that. So basically, each one of these lines just affects the ones above it, and eventually you get to the top where there's nothing to affect. That's the last bit. So like that's essentially the carry out. So if you were to invert this, and then bring it here, you have an extra bit in your counter. But actually, that's what this is right here. So we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-bit counter. And not only can it count, but we can now branch as well. So let me just do an example here. What is this number? It'd be 225 plus 8. So 233. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, what that'll do, when I press this button, is it'll now map the input there of our branch address, or of our branch, to here, to the output of the counter. So, but first, if I show you that, like, we can count right now and not have it affect anything, we can turn on a clock, let it count as fast as we want. It's not going to affect anything. Once again, clock through it a few times yourself. But now we can press this button, and that brings us to what we've had over here. Now, if I slow this down to slow speeds, what's happening here is this is a monostable. So this is 10 ticks of delay, and this is 1 tick of delay. Going through an inverter like this, and this is inverted and that's not inverted. This makes a 9 tick rising edge pulse here, sorry. But it's inverted. So then we invert the output of that to make a 9 tick rising edge pulse. I don't know if you need 9 ticks, but this it was quick enough for me, so I was using it. But this could probably be made shorter, maybe 5 or 6 ticks here of delay. And then anyway, then there's 2 ticks of delay going here into the clock line. So what it does is it says, make this line high first, and this line comes through, and it comes to these blotters, which is basically flood the gate in a certain way, preventing the carry right here. Like, so if I put a switch here, do this for you, you'll see that all these carry lines are now off. If I come to the front here, you'll see that they're all off here. So on the flip of that switch, I can disable the carry. And disabling the carry now allows me to just write whatever data, right? If I disable the carry, now I can control the clock line to all of them on a single pulse. So once again, showing you that the carry, like that, controls the clock line. Now I have access to the clock line on a single pulse with my clock, which is right here, which is mapped to there, which then maps. Yeah, maps in here, which comes up here and clocks in like that. So disabling the carry allows me to clock all of the lines, all of the cells at once. And then what I do is when I have to disable the carry first, and then I come over here and I say clock in whatever we're now flooding the inputs of the D flip-flop with. We're going to bypass the inverted input. We're going to say ignore that. And it can't get an inverted input because we're flooding the cell, so it's off here. So it'll always get a 0 input here. So now we can control the data in just like that. And so that's what allows us to branch to whatever line we want. Oh, and when you press that button, you have to hold the button, like the way tongue works, you have to hold the button down for the length of the delay. Of course, the button's not going to stay down for as long as you want, and then you're going to form micro pulses, and those are going to get lost in there. So you have to be careful not to run or form micro pulses. That's why it's a good idea to run the tick rate at like 100 or 1000, so that when you press the button, when you press it like that, odds are that you're not going to generate a micro tick. But yeah, so this is a full-on counter. If I do rate like 30, yeah, that'll be fine. There it is counting up. And then I can like obviously change the tick rate. 250. Yeah. So now we have a nice synchronous counter using no modded components except for, well, that pulse generator. But other than that, no modded components. And yeah, we can generate our own, make our own pulse generator. But that's just like nice having it in one block. Like I made my pulse generator there, but that's one block instead. But yeah, you can see that it's moving too fast here to really see what's going on, but it's obviously working because if you just look at the top, like pick some bits above and ignore the rest below, and you'll see that it's still counting in binary. So it's still carrying properly, and you know, therefore it's still working. And yeah, if you guys like this video and maybe want a tutorial on this thing, let me know in the comments. I'm not sure how popular the game is yet, but Logic World is coming out soon, and I will be switching to that when that comes out. I'll buy that game or whatever, and then there'll be content on that. Anyway, thanks, and I'll see you guys next time.